Hello, I'm O Speaks. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, share. So, I was going to do my live on Chicago today, and I found another precursor. So, before I can do that live, I have to talk about something else. This happened the other day when I talked about what was the first? What was that other topic? I had to go live and talk about. Oh, I went over government corruption, and then I went over the EBT thing because again, those were precursors to what's about to happen in Chicago and what's actually happening. So today, I was ready to go live. I already have the presentation and everything, and I said, you know what? Because I had multiple presentations that I had already done. Illegal aliens are actually the segue into what's about to happen in Chicago. And I don't know if a lot of people are looking at it that way, but it's definitely the case. Oh crap! Sorry, I'm just putting that I'm live. So I wanted to cover that for sure because it is a massive, massive issue in the Black community, and it's not being ignored, but it's not being related to what's happening when it comes to deploying the National Guard. And I'm not sure everyone's paying attention to that. So that's what I want to talk about today. Title of today's live is Illegal Aliens, the Segue to National Guard deployments in Chicago and other major cities. It's connected. I know people want to call Trump dumb and call him names and say he's not smart or whatever, blah, 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 blah. But if you guys understand what he's doing, it is very, 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 very calculated. And again, it ties together with these deployments that we're seeing. It's not a coincidence. It really isn't. And let's talk about how and why. I'm going right to it. Let's go to video. Pull this up. How you doing, Miss Just J? How you doing, Miss Phoenix? Thank you, thank you, thank you. As always, you guys are amazing. You guys are awesome. Very, 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 very cool. Have you here with me. And let me get rid of this one. Oh, I should have deleted that. Oh well. Oh well. Here we go. So we start with this. Let me make that bigger. And all it is it's saying that the Republican Party was founded in a tiny little schoolhouse in Ripon? Anyway, Wisconsin in 1854. The purpose? To stop Democrats from expanding slavery across America. Every American should remember that. Now, I'm not promoting the Republicans, especially not today. But this is a fact, and it doesn't seem like people remember that. No matter how many times we tell people that the party was founded on stopping slavery, and Democrats were the ones we fought against in the Civil War, it seems as if that just gets ignored and we pretend like that didn't happen. I'm going to remind you guys, and there's a reason for it. So, the issue at the border, and I've talked about this many times, but it's still, for whatever, keeps being missed. So we're going to go into this presentation.
Can you help me with
this? Is a man from Chicago, and he's going to say what he believes the issue is in Chicago and what needs to be done. And he's talking to this Congressman Jonathan Jackson.
the solution you'd like to see me do?
Surely I can help with the solution. I can give you I give you one simple answer. Send them back. That's the only solution. That's it. Other than that, they will surpass us. It is math. It's simple math. They will overtake us in numbers at the rate that they have kids. They cannot be U.S. citizens. You are dooming our next generation to subservitude. I'm telling you this.
Okay.
It's just simple math.
I know, but
That's it. It's simple math.
I'm very good
Count.
at math. Let me share something with you. Most of the persons that are here right now, under the technical definition, do not qualify for asylum.
I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about the children that they have. They will be U.S. citizens, and they will have a voting block. All we have to do now is look at the Hispanic voting block they have now. They get everything they want. Look at our communities. You should see the schools that they have.
So this here is two senators in Mexico fighting, as you can read, over whether or not the United States should be in their country going after cartels. Now, I'll play it because I had to silence it. I had to make it low because there was music playing anyway. But they're like literally about the fist fight. guy who doesn't want, in my opinion, if you look, why wouldn't you want to get rid of the industry of drug dealing, cartel, human trafficking? Should be a stain on the people. For some reason, this guy does not want to take care of the issue, which to me says he's being paid by the cartel. That's my opinion, because I don't understand why anyone would be against getting rid of something like that. And this conversation is about to pick up. This is CNN, and the reason why I put the whole slavery thing is what they're about to talk about right here. So this federal judge blocked us from deporting Guatemalan children back to Guatemala. And I want you guys to listen to this conversation because it's well, just listen to it.
We're for child separation from their families now. We used to be against that. Now I guess we're for it. Here's what happened. These kids came here during the Biden administration.
These children have family in this country.
And their parents are in Guatemala, and the Guatemalan government.
Well, not all of them. Not all of them.
The 10-year-old little girl who lost her mother, and then she said she was abused in Guatemala and came over. It's more complicated than just clear cut. They all have parents in Guatemala.
These children were abandoned here somehow. They've been, sent here for some period of time. They're trying to reunite them with their families where they're from, with a government that has asked for their return and wants to facilitate their return. This all happened under the Biden administration. Now a Biden judge is trying to keep them here and to further this policy of keeping them separated from the families that they have in Guatemala. Everybody's upset about this, and I don't know why. They're trying to reunite them with their families.
But are you comfortable with how it was done, right? I understand you're taking the administration's line on this, but woken up in the middle of the night over a holiday weekend, not having a chance to go before a judge to contest this or explain why they want to go back to Guatemala or anything like that, and put aboard these planes, and then, then the lawyers step in, a judge steps in, and here we are.
So she's worried about the optics, which I find weird. Because should the kids be with their parents, or should they be here in a whole nother country, thousands of miles away, with people who we don't know who they are? They say, some of them have family. Okay, what about the others? This mindset, this liberal mindset, especially white women, but this liberal mindset in this country seems to not understand how good we have it, and it's a utopian society. All these kids get to come here and live a great life. Where? On who?
General view is that their families in Guatemala and the Guatemalan government want them back, we should send them back.
But then why not do it during business hours?
Yeah, labor.
Why do it? Why in the middle of the night, 2 in the morning?
Yeah.
Why does that matter?
Seems a little fishy to me.
You don't think
it's just a weird
keep
time
them separated
to do
from their families?
No, I want to. I think children. I think Lulu's exactly right. There is a due process system in place in our government.
We're not saying they're criminals.
And
we're just saying they
children
should go
deserve
home.
to be able to go in front of a judge and defend why they're here. These are children, Scott, that we're talking about.
Do you think they made the conscious choice to come here on their own, or were they sent here for some other reason?
Actually,
some of them
this
were
is the
probably
point.
abused
None of
by
us
the
know the
we're dealing with
stories of
children.
these children. None of us know the stories of these children.
I know
lawyers.
They've been separated
Their
from their
lawyers know
families.
the
They're trying to be
stories of these
reunited.
children, and that is the point. That's why we have due process in this country.
So I paused it here because, and I've talked about this before, but I want to make this very, 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 very clear. One second. This is getting old. These arguments are saving the kids and all the stuff that are illegal aliens. So I just typed in, let me make this larger. How many illegal alien children missing during Biden administration? And again, I've talked about this before, but we need to make this clear and see what's really going on here. Based on reports, government documents, figures regarding unaccompanied minor children who have become unaccounted for vary and are frequently cited by politicians, federal reports, but precise, independently verified numbers are difficult to pinpoint. The situation is characterized by a lack of consistent tracking and vetting procedures by federal agencies, leaving many children vulnerable to exploitation. Again, this is a very simple search. So what those ladies are talking about, due process and all that. Okay, so they go and they say they can stay here. Then what? Because according to this, 290,000 children were not not served with a notice to appear. What that means. According to March 25 Office of Inspector General report from Homeland Security, Immigration or ICE had not issued a notice to appear to more than 291 unaccompanied migrant children who were transferred to the Department of Health and Human Services between fiscal years of 2019 to 2023. The NTA, the notice to appear, is the official document that begins the removal process and schedules a court date. Without it, immigration proceedings for these children have not been initiated. Meaning, what those women are saying cannot happen because they weren't even served with a notice to appear in court. So how can you have a court proceeding when they haven't even set a court date? Which is insane. So what they're saying is, due to this failure, ICE has no assurance that these children were safe from trafficking, exploitation, and forced labor. This is something that is just not spoken about enough. 43,000 children's missed court dates of the ones who were served. How you doing, KMC? The same March report that I cited up there, that we read up there, more than 43,000 unaccompanied children were served, who were served with a notice to appear, failed to appear. So these kids literally just disappeared. So again, those women talking about due process, you now have these kids who were served and they didn't show up. Where are they? These women are pretending to be so compassionate. We can't send these kids back. They need due process. But when we give them due process, 43,000 don't show up to court. Now what? Where are they? Who has them? What's happening to them? Some sources combine those figures of those not served and who missed court dates to arrive at the higher total of approximately 320,000 children unaccounted for. We don't know where these kids are. 85,000 children lost contact with in 2023. According to the New York Times, February 2023, the report revealed that Health Human Services lost contact with at least 85,000 unaccompanied, we'll just say it, illegal immigrant children after releasing them to sponsors. Where are they? I'm curious. Where are they? It's weird that people are acting like they care about these kids, but then when they get here, 300 and something thousand disappear. To me, this sounds like human trafficking. So here they talk about monitoring the vetting and issues. And in July of 2025, a congressional hearing addressed a backlog of 65,000 unanswered calls. We talked about that on one of my lives. 65,000 kids called for help. They called the Child Safety Hotline, and no one picked up. Is that a failure? Is that due process that these women are talking about? So here we have a situation, going back to the video, where Trump is saying send them back home. Their parents are in Guatemala. What are we doing here? And of course, liberals pretending to be compassionate say, no. They need due process. Well, I just showed you what happens when it comes to due process with these children. They're disappearing. Somebody's selling them. Somebody's doing really horrible things to them, or both. Or we can't track them physically because our systems clearly aren't working. So what's the best option for these kids? Oh, even worse. I forgot. 65,000 of them call for help and we don't answer the phone. We send them a voicemail. So is it compassionate to keep these kids here over sending them to their parents? How did they get here in the first place? Were they trafficked? They're all illegal. None of these are people who came through a port of entry and want asylum or claim refugee status. That's not what's happening here. Something is happening to children where they are disappearing. And under the guise of compassion, those women in that video are saying, well, they need to go through the court system. We just keep going in the circle? Somebody forcing them to work? Do we have child slavery here? This is why I put that slavery slide in the very beginning. This is the new slavery. We have literally government-sanctioned slavery on our southern border from the Mexican government, where those guys were fighting over whether or not we should stop cartels from doing this right here, what we're watching. This is what they do. They have no value of life down there. Not everybody there, but the cartels, they don't value life. So hundreds of thousands of kids disappearing. 65,000 of them call for help, and we send them to voicemail. And we're pretending like these kids are going to be better off here with no supervision than at home with their parents. Why? Because they have a title that's called illegal immigrant. This unaccompanied minors thing, it shouldn't even be up for debate, especially if their parents are at home. I don't understand. I don't even know why this is an argument, but apparently it is. So let's continue.
I am absolutely dismayed by the attempts to sow terror in the homes of Latino people. For instance, Puerto Rican people. Puerto Rican people look just like Dominican people, just like Cuban people, just like more or less Venezuelan people. And yet Puerto Rican people are citizens. Puerto Rican people are being harassed by ICE. They're citizens, but they are also Latinos.
These are emotional appeals, but I just now saw something as I was scrolling down on that other page that I want to pull up. So as I was scrolling up on that AI page when I did that search, this popped up. And I don't have, well, maybe I will. Let's make this bigger. You don't need to see my mug. This is the Senate Committee on the Judiciary. This is the Senate.gov website. You can't see the bar, but it's the Senate.gov website. New Health Human Service data confirms Biden-Harris administration placed tens of thousands, we'll just say illegals, with unvetted sponsors, meaning they don't even know who these people were. They just said, yeah, I want that one, I want that one, that one's mine, that one's mine. And they decline recommended home studies, which would be to go see, hey, who are these people? This is insane. This is a sidetrack. I was just scrolling down and I'm like, what? And I clicked on it and this is what came up. Health Human Services data shows that they place over 11,000 kids with people that they don't even know who they are. They didn't even look into the people. They could be pimps. They could be human traffickers. They could literally be slave drivers. Make them work. We have no idea who they are. You know why? We didn't even look into who they were. Who were not the child's parents or legal guardian, and did not conduct survey. They didn't go to the house to see, what are the living conditions for over 79,000 illegal kids under 12. Is this acceptable? This is insane. Wow. This says from 2020 to 2024, they cared for almost 500,000 unaccompanied illegal kids. From October 2024 to June 2025, they've cared for only 21,000, which just shows how many less we're bringing in now. That's insanity. from January 2021 to January 2025, 11,500 illegal kids were placed with unvetted sponsors who were not the kids' parents or guardians. They were not fingerprinted. They did not receive a background check. What are we doing here? Is it compassionate to keep these kids here? This is illegal because it says sponsors must submit to a FBI criminal history check, but we didn't even do that. Based on digital fingerprints, if they are not the parent or legal guardian of the migrant child. So if it's not the parents, they're supposed to go through a full background check, just like getting a gun. But this is a human being. And they said, don't worry about that. You want the kid? Take the kid. 11,488 times they did that. It says Biden-Harris administration disregarded this law and failed to request or receive fingerprints or background checks for approximately 11% of all illegal kids that were placed with non-custodial adults. They just gave away kids. This is insane. They didn't visit the homes of 79,000 of those kids, including 1,900 where the system said, hey, you probably want to check on these for sure. That's wild. Wild. Anyway, sorry, that's a sidetrack, but this is the system that these people are pretending to be compassionate about. I don't know if they're pretending, to be fair. I don't know if they're pretending. But do they understand what they're fighting for? I guess is probably a better way to phrase it.
Racial component. There's a racial component.
Puerto Rican people have American passports, Geraldo. What are you talking about?
And so now they carry their. Puerto Rican people have to carry their American passports to show you that they belong here. Do you carry your American passport, Benny? Do you?
Yes.
I carry an ID everywhere I go. Yes, and a firearm.
You know what happens when the police pull you over? What's usually the first thing they ask? For your ID. So this is all fake outrage, and I get it. He's Puerto Rican. I get it. But they have to carry ID. The only reason that's a problem because he wants illegals here to roam freely. They don't want to carry ID because they don't have ID. And if they have ID and you ask them for ID and you find out they're not supposed to be here, you can deport them. And his goal is to never deport. That's it. Simple.
But like, is your contention that that America is deporting Puerto Ricans back to America? Is that the point?
My contention, wise ass.
Can you give me like an example of that, for instance? Because I can give you examples, Geraldo,
wise ass.
White.
My
I can give you examples of white,
is
Chinese, black, and Hispanic people that are all here illegally. And here's my question for you, Geraldo. My question for you is this. What do you mean by they're not criminal aliens? Are you saying that they came here legally or illegally? Which is the answer?
The only crime the vast majority of these people have committed is coming here illegally. That's the only crime.
That makes sense.
That's all. They're just here illegally. Some of them they're working illegally. They're not paying taxes. They're getting government services. That's all. It's not a big deal. Like this whole. Well, let me read this first. You can get a ticket for not having your ID on your person. Yeah, in a lot of places you can. Depends on the state, but it doesn't matter. He's saying, all they did was come here illegally. You could apply that to your home. All they did was break in for burglary. It doesn't, They weren't going to steal anything. They were just going to sleep in the basement against your will and without your knowledge. Is that okay? These arguments make no sense. They're completely emotional appeals to make it sound like it's not a big deal. So which laws are we okay with being broken? Because that's what it sounds like he's saying. Can Miss Phoenix Rising, KMC, or Miss Just J, can you guys just walk into a store and just start stealing stuff? What laws are good and need to be followed versus the ones that are bad and shouldn't be followed? Because it seems like breaking and entering would be one of the bad ones. And that's what they're doing. It's breaking and entering into the whole country of the United States, and you're creating a burden on the citizens there. And apparently, kids are disappearing by the hundreds of thousands. Yeah, it's literally illegal. It's literally illegal. All they did was breaking and entering. And when you catch them in your house and you try to kick them out, no, what are you doing? That's a nice person. They just want an opportunity. They just need shelter and food. You got to give them some food. Can you guys please just give them an allowance? We won't ask for anything else. Give them an allowance, food. If they get hurt, take them to the doctor and pay for it. This is what he's saying. And I don't know why nobody puts it this way, because this is what it is. It's not a joke. I'm laughing because it's so absurd to say, it's not a big deal. Because if you applied this to his house, he would not allow it. He'd probably shoot the person who came in. But he wants the country, aka the citizen, the United States citizen, to allow somebody to break in their house. We're going to cover their medical expenses. We're going to educate the kids. We're going to allow them to work, take away our jobs. I don't care what anybody says. We're going to allow them to work, not pay the same taxes that you pay, by the way. We're going to allow them to illegally obtain property. Like, is this not serious? Most of them, in order to get a job, unless the company is completely corrupt, are going to illegally give someone else's identity and or social security number. And you have some schmo sitting at home that has no idea his information is being used for somebody to illegally work. So it's not just one crime. And in the case of those kids, you're human trafficking, literally. The kids are disappearing, literally. It's not a big deal. That's what he's saying. The only law they broke were everything I just said.
Crime the vast majority of these people have committed is coming here illegally. That's the only crime.
That makes
They're
them
not
a criminal.
Tren de Agua. They're not MS-13. The vast majority of them.
How do you know? You know how I know? When they get deported, they find out who they are. Before then, nobody knows who they are. So he's just saying stuff. That sounds good. They're not this, they're not this, they're not this, they're not this. And then when something happens, yeah, but that's minor. That doesn't happen all the time. It only happens sometimes. So that's okay then. Several laws have to be broken in order to be an illegal alien here. Several, not just one. Unless they literally come in and just lay somewhere. They have to break several laws. And the people on the left, they don't care. Because they don't like the laws anyway. They don't like the country. They're looking at votes. And apparently they're looking at slavery and human trafficking and sex trafficking. That's what they're looking at. And that's what they want. Because there's no other reason to advocate for this. I just showed you almost 500,000 kids were cared for. Unaccompanied by adults under 12 during Joe Biden's term. 300 and something thousand of them gone, disappeared. 65,000 of them called help, like their own personal 911, and we sent them the voicemail. And he's saying we need to have more compassion.
They commit fewer crimes than citizens do. And
so do you understand respectfully, do you understand the definition of the word illegal? Because you just said they came here illegally. Do you understand what that means? That means they broke our laws.
Yes.
The laws on the books.
So did the jaywalkers.
Is enforcing.
So did the jaywalkers.
So he just compared jaywalking to breaking into the country illegally, looking for work or not looking for work, getting subsidized housing, getting food stamps, getting cash benefits, getting medical aid, getting education. That's the same as jaywalking to Geraldo Rivera. driving illegally, getting into car crashes. Car crashes in every sanctuary city is up, and people fleeing the scene is up. And a lot of them say because the person didn't speak English and they just drove off. It's a good, safe assumption to say they're not supposed to be here, which would be why you would do something like that. They don't have insurance. But to Geraldo Rivera, no big deal. Deal with it.
So
but I don't understand. You just admitted their crimes. The vast majority of their crimes are they're here illegally. But by saying that, you're saying
in my day
criminals.
they weren't. First of all, to categorize what they are doing as a crime insults real criminals.
I don't even know how that works. Maybe he should have said it's insulting to compare them to real criminals. But he said to categorize them in the same category with somebody who's gangbanger, drug dealer. It's wrong to the drug dealer. That's what he just said. Oh my. What's going on, Mel? This is so insane.
But I don't understand. You just admitted their crimes. The vast majority of their crimes are they're here illegally. But by saying that, you're saying
in my day
criminals.
they weren't. First of all, to categorize what they are doing as a crime insults real criminals.
I'm gonna notch that up to just saying he meant to say it's insulting to them to categorize them with real criminals, whatever that means. So the liberal media wants this. They want the missing children. They want the unaccompanied kids just given away to people who aren't even vetted. They want the illegal work. They want the lower wages. They want the non-taxpayer. They want to give away Medicaid. They want to give away education. They want to give away food stamps. They want to give away cash. Because it's not a real crime. I don't know how all those residual things happen if it's not a real crime, but that was a long time ago.
We're here in support of the family of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who are all God's children. As Christians, we are called to be instruments of peace and to show God's love to the world.
So apparently this person's supposed to be some kind of clergy. Okay. There are many things I could say about this, but I'm not going to say. This is about Kilmar, the man from Maryland who was deported. This is we'll just watch because this is phenomenal. This is phenomenal.
In the book of Leviticus, God instructs the Israelite people through Moses to treat the stranger who resides with them as a citizen and to love the stranger as themselves.
Lawyers for Kilmar Abrego Garcia just announced they're suing the government to prevent his second deportation. Just a short time ago in Baltimore, Abrego Garcia was taken back into ICE custody during a check-in, and this is just days after being released from custody in Tennessee. He's now at risk of being sent to Uganda after rejecting a plea deal to live in Costa Rica and plead guilty to human smuggling charges.
Let's digest that real quick. It's so absurd. An illegal alien, MS-13 member, who they say is not an MS-13 member, but his own wife airbrushed the tattoo off of his knuckles in a picture that she posted on social media. An illegal alien, MS-13 member, who is being charged with human trafficking, yes, and wife beater. He's suing the United States of America for deporting him. What's going on, True? An illegal alien is suing the United States for deporting him, even though he's a criminal. He's convicted of I don't know if it's convicted. I don't know if you consider that convicted. He beat his wife, by her own words. He was bringing illegals from Texas all the way up to Maryland. He's suing this country for saying, nah, you got to go. So they shipped him off to, I think it was El Salvador. I don't remember where he said. I don't know where they sent him back to, but he said it was dangerous for him to be there. A judge said you got to bring him back. You had to facilitate it. So we brought him back, and we immediately arrested him again. So now we're going to send him to Uganda.
CBS News immigration and politics reporter Camilo Montoya Galvez, has been outside the ICE facility where Abrego Garcia was checking in. Camilo, great to see you again. When I saw you earlier this morning, there was a gathering of people in support of this man and his effort. Help us understand what happened and what his lawyers are now saying.
Hi, Earl. Gilmar Abreu Garcia came here to Baltimore to check in with the ICE field office behind me to report as required by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement with that agency, and he was almost immediately taken into government custody yet again. The Department of Homeland Security, Errol, says he's now being processed for deportation to the East African country of Uganda, but his lawyers have now filed a new legal challenge trying to demand a full trial before any deportation to Uganda or another country. Let's take a listen to one of his lawyers.
Our contention is that they can't send him to any one of the other 200 countries on earth unless that country is given credible assurances that he'll be allowed to have a legal status, such as Costa Rica has already done, right? Costa Rica has already offered refugee status.
The Trump administration, we have learned, did offer Abreu Garcia a last-ditch plea deal that would involve Errol sending him to Costa Rica, not Uganda, after he serves his criminal sentence here on the U.S. because of those smuggling charges. But it is now unclear whether that offer is still on the table, Errol.
And Camilo, you had mentioned previously that there was some expectation from Abrego Garcia and his family that he would be taken in to custody again. What did he?
Of course. Well, I'm sure they got like a GoFundMe or something, and I'm sure there are agencies that are helping him out. But the fact that he's here, period, it's hilarious to me. I'm looking at a map real quick. Let me see something. I think he's from El Salvador. I want to say El Salvador. So he had to travel through. Let's look at this. It's so stupid. Let's see. Yeah, this one. He had to travel to get here. He had to travel through Guatemala, potentially Honduras, but most likely Guatemala, then Mexico, then get here, then travel all the way up to right about here to Maryland. And he's suing us because he wanted refugee status here. He went through two countries and then across the entire country claiming refugee status, which makes absolutely no sense. That makes no sense. How are you a refugee? Why didn't you stop in the next country over? It's so stupid. I don't know how people fall for this, because I've heard people make
when
these
he was
arguments.
outside as a kind of message.
When he came here to this ICE field office, Gilmar Abreu Garcia Errol knew very well that he could be indeed taken into ICE custody yet again. And he showed up with his family and supporters. He thanked the supporters for coming here, for showing up, and for expressing support. And he also expressed gratitude for being able to see his family again after months in detention. Let's take a listen to what he said.
No perdamos la fe.
To all the families who have been separated, or to all the families who have been threatened with family separation.
All that came from the. It sounded like he only said 3 words. Hold on, let me go. Maybe I misheard. That's a crazy translation. Let's see.
No perdamos la fe.
To all the families who have been separated, or to all the families who have been threatened with family separation. This administration has hit us hard.
No solo para mí, para todos.
Promise me that you will continue to pray, continue to fight, resist, and love, not just for me, but for everybody, continue to demand freedom.
I'm no linguist expert, but it did not sound like he was saying all that. I'm just saying, no, blah, 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 whatever. And she goes on giving like five sentences. He thinks fighting for freedom is fighting for his freedom. The nerve of what she's saying and how she thinks it applies to an illegal alien is wild.
Family again after months in detention. Let's take a listen to what he said.
No perdamos la fe.
To all the families who have been separated, or to all the families who have been threatened with family separation, this administration has hit us hard.
You're not supposed to be here. You did that. You went through 3 countries and traveled all the way up the coast of the East Coast. And you're mad because you got caught. Not only are you mad, you're suing. And you're making this into a civil rights issue.
No solo para mí, para todos.
Promise me that you will continue to pray, continue to fight, resist, and love, not just for me, but for everybody.
You didn't say that.
Continue to demand freedom.
Foxes. All right, so this is the most recent update here. This is phenomenal. Phenomenal.
The Maryland dad found a new home. First, he went to El Salvador, back to America, then booked a ticket to Uganda, but his lawyers said he was scared. Kristi Noem responded. Your claim of fear is hard to take seriously, especially given that you have claimed that you fear persecution or torture in at least 22 different countries, including El Salvador, Uganda, Mexico, Belize, Costa Rica, Guatemala, etc. We hereby notify you that your new country of removal is Eswatini, Africa. Eswatini. We've never heard of it either. It's one of Africa's smallest countries. It is landlocked. And as of this year, police warned about the threat of cannibalism and human sacrifice. King Mswati has ruled there for 40 years. He has 15 wives and 30 children.
I love it.
And thousands of cows.
Yes.
So he's apparently they were trying to negotiate with him and his lawyers, and they negotiated through 22 different countries. And he said he was scared of all of them. So they found one that nobody knows, and they shipped him there. And that's where he's going. And they're going to sue. They're going to try. I couldn't care less. I just thought that was a great story.
You can move too far left. And when you do, you wind up pushing the people in the middle to the right. At its worst, Canada is what American voters think happens when there's no one putting a check on extreme wokeness. They say in politics, liberals are the gas pedal and conservatives are the brakes. And I'm generally with the gas pedal, but not if we're driving off a cliff. Sweden opened its borders to over 1.5 million immigrants since 2010, and now 20% of its citizens are foreign-born, and its education system is tanking, and it has Europe's highest rate of gangland killings, to which liberals say blaming immigrants for the rising crime rate is racist. Yeah, but is it true? Of course it's true. It's not a coincidence the quality of life went down after the Somali gangs started a drug turf war using hand grenades. Calling it racist doesn't solve the problem.
So now we're going to move into a little bit more serious. Now, not that slavery and missing kids isn't serious, but how this is going to impact everybody is the violence that's coming here. Like we just saw, they're literally throwing hand grenades at each other in Europe, and they're pretending like it has nothing to do with what you can see that it has something to do. Remember that live I did about Colorado? And the Tren de Aragua was taking over apartment complexes. They're finally saying, okay, yeah, that did happen. And it wasn't just one, it was several, but they're admitting to at least one. So we should be happy that the New York Times is being honest over a year later. This one, let me make this bigger. This one, it says, illegal immigrant truck driver accused of unaliving 3 people in Florida highway collision. He failed English and road sign tests, but still got a CDL from sanctuary states, California and Washington. So, is he just a worker? Is that what this is? Why did Trump? I think it was Trump. I think he made it so that everyone has to be able to read English. Why is that? Like, I mean, how do you read the sign? How do you read the road signs? I mean, I know there's shapes and colors, but does anyone else get to drive like that? No. But if you're driving these giant, massive tons and tons of products, cars, gasoline, you should at least be able to understand the signs, the street names. So unaliving 3 people, not a big deal. This is the America that these people want. I don't. This guy, this is an interesting one. Theopolis and Wana, 37-year-old predator from Nigeria, on August 28th, has been convicted of second-degree R-word in Bel Air, Maryland, and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. He's also had a final order of removal since September 2021. He's been convicted of second degree. He has been. That doesn't make sense. If he has been, how did he get out to unalive someone else? Hold on, let me. Theopolis. Let me get that spelling. That doesn't make any sense. He's been convicted of R-word and was sentenced to 20. How is that possible? Let's see. Sorry. Let's look at this guy. Oh, look at this. Oh my God. Every time I do these little sidebars, it gets worse. Theopolis. Every time I do these, it gets worse. So this says he was arrested by U.S. Immigration and Customs, by ICE, in late August. He was taken into custody in Baltimore after being convicted of R-word. He pled guilty to second degree in Hartford in 2019 and sentenced to 20 years in prison with all but 7 years suspended. So he spent 7 years, just got out? That doesn't make sense. According to Maryland Department of Public Safety, Correctional Services, he was under a final order of removal in 2021, but he would have been in custody if he did 7 years from 2019. I'm confused. It sounds like somehow he slipped through the cracks, because that makes no sense to me. He was supposed to be removed in 2021. Why didn't they just remove him? I'm sorry. This is just wild that he was even in the country. He was convicted in 2019. He received a 20-year sentence. The court records show that all but 7 years of the sentence were suspended. So he only had to serve 7 years. But it's only been 6 years. And he got out. All right. I'm going to look into this one because this makes no sense. That's a wild story anyway. That's really weird. Really weird.
Disturbing new details today as police in Maryland announce an arrest in the disappearance and murder of 19-year-old Dakara Thompson. The suspect, a man in the U.S. illegally who was in federal custody earlier this year. Let's get right out to Fox 5's Bob Barnard live in Bowie, where police say Dakara was killed. Bob?
That's right, Shamari. Behind me is the house where Prince George's County police say Dakara Thompson was murdered. It's a yellow ranch-style house here on Cambridge Drive in Bowie. The authorities say the suspect lived here with other relatives.
It has really shaken us up. We've never had anything like this happen in our neighborhood.
The suspect is 35-year-old Hugo Hernandez Mendez, now facing first and second-degree murder charges, said to be from Guatemala and in the country illegally. Police say Hernandez Mendez murdered Dakara Thompson inside his bedroom in this house. Investigators not saying how she was killed or what happened inside the home leading up to her murder. The 19-year-old Thompson was last seen alive August 22nd, walking away from her car near a gas station in Lanham, apparently leaving everything but her cell phone in the car. Her family reporting Dakara missing the next day. Her body was found Sunday in a grassy area along Route 50 near Annapolis, taken and left there, police say, by suspect Hernandez Mendez. Prince George's County and Maryland State Police today telling us they had other surveillance video from the time of her disappearance showing Dakara willingly getting into a dark SUV. Police say they were able to trace that vehicle to the suspect. Investigators not sure what that was all about, what the relationship between the two may have been.
Oh, no.
So, and I've heard people speculate saying that she's being paid, prostitution, whatever. I don't think it matters. But does that mean you should be unalived by an illegal alien? How you doing, Sheriff? What's going on, Mike Levin? Like, they paint it as if she somehow has something to do with it. But again, if he wasn't here, we wouldn't have to worry about it. But Geraldo will say, yeah, but that doesn't happen that much. I say it should never happen because none of them should be here. None of them. And it's sad because even when a black girl gets impacted, our community just shrugs it off. A lot of them. Now, we are getting more vocal about it, like the man earlier in this presentation. But I don't like how we don't value black lives unless it benefits us somehow. And clearly this doesn't benefit anyone. And clearly this illegal was placed on a higher rung of the intersectional ladder. I don't know. Did you hear about this?
Oh, that is so distressing. You know, when I saw the homicide truck, I said, oh, I hope nobody's dead in there.
Had you been following the case of this missing girl? Had you been aware of that?
I had been because I said it's a young African-American woman, wondering why it was getting so much attention, and then hearing that the body may be hers.
Hugo Hernandez Mendez is being held without bail, has a bond hearing Monday. Prince George's County officials say Hernandez Mendez had been arrested by U.S. Park Police for a DUI in April, but he was released from federal custody.
Well, I think that the U.S. Government has made status of individuals relevant. This was someone who was in their custody, and they made the decision to release him. So I think the questions should be asked of the Justice Department.
100%. This isn't a Republican or Democrat issue. This isn't a federal versus state issue. If the feds had him, why'd they let him go? He should have been deported. I'm not going to change how I think because it's somebody on the right who's responsible for it. The feds had him in custody and let him go. And then he unalived this poor black girl. A young black girl gone because of somebody who's not even supposed to be here. Yet every day we see these people on the media saying, just let them come in. We don't know who they are. That's okay. Most of them are good. They have good intentions. What about the ones who don't? We don't know who they are until they do something like this. And now we're putting him through our system. If he doesn't get the death penalty, we should just ship him back off to that prison. Where is that? Is that also in El Salvador? Get rid of him. I don't want to feed that guy if he gets life. But he took a life, and the media and people on the left don't care. They don't care. Unless a white guy is doing the unaliving, they don't care. They can't run with this story because it makes their position look bad. They don't care about the reality of what's going on.
Mothers who have nannies and housekeepers, they will feel it when there's nobody to do childcare and there's nobody to take their kids to school. You will feel it when your gardener goes away and you don't know where he or she is.
This is giving this.
Kick every Latino out of this country, then who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump?
Which is giving this.
The people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals.
Which is giving this. The food that's on your table, think about who picked it.
These people view illegal immigrants as the help and nothing more. They want slavery in 2025. If you still can't see that by now, I am sorry that somebody stapled your eyelids shut. The Party of Equality and Fairness's biggest concern about deportations is that the unfair labor jobs will have nobody to take them. This is what the Democratic Party thinks of illegal immigrants. And this is the party that will still call everyone else a racist.
100%. It's literally looking at these people as slaves. What's going on? What's going on, Wabatu? You're looking at these people as slaves. Literally. Who's going to clean your toilet? Like, if I were illegal, I would be offended by that. Like, whoa. Whose toilet I got to clean? They look at them as second-class citizens. This is the reason why I don't believe that we need a federal minimum wage. These people hold the wages down. Nobody gets paid $7.50 or whatever the current minimum wage is. Nobody gets paid that unless you work in bartending, waiting tables, stuff like that. You're not making that little amount of money. The Fed has nothing to do with wages. They don't. It should be a state thing. But when you allow this clear slave class, this is what happens. This is how they see you. Illegal alien who's highly unlikely watching this. You like being compared to a slave? You like them saying, well, they're going to clean your toilets if you leave them alone and leave them here. For the mere cost of what? Medical, educational, food stamps, cash, place to live, fake identity, driving trucks, unaliving people. All that, yeah. And all you have to do is be a slave. Look at this. It says, Biden bragged work site would create American jobs. All right. Let's see what they arrested. DHS, Homeland Security, arrested 475 illegal immigrants at that place. What American jobs? This is so bad.
For Homeland Security, we have a search warrant for the whole site. We need construction to cease immediately. We need all work to end on the site right now. Warrant.
So at what point you have 500 illegal workers? At what point do we hold the company responsible? Because this is at a Hyundai battery plant in Georgia. And how do you hold these people responsible? Because they literally hired 500 illegal aliens. I think are mostly South Korean. If there's a market, these people will come to fill it. So clearly the fines aren't big enough, and the lobbies are even bigger, and the unions are trash. Because how is this even being allowed? If you live in Georgia, they're hiring. Begrudgingly, they may pay you a real wage because they're used to paying what? Who knows? God knows how low the wages were. They may have been using some kids. What we found earlier. Hundreds of thousands of kids disappeared. Maybe they're doing that. What's up, Uncle Al?
Descended on a small southeast Georgia community and raided a sprawl.
This reporting is phenomenal. Listen to how slanted this is. This lady, she makes it sound like it's a horrible thing that 500 illegals were caught working when they're not supposed to be there.
Hundreds of federal agents descended on a small southeast Georgia community and raided a sprawling plant, taking away hundreds of workers in hard hats and high-vis jackets, most of them from South Korea. Several tried to escape, some running into a sewage pond. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, say they were working illegally. Around 475 were arrested. South Korea's foreign minister vowed to support them.
Our president emphasizes that in the course of US law enforcement, the rights of our people and the economic activities of South Korean investors in the US must not be unjustly infringed upon.
Trump believes
he's mad that they got caught. And somehow it's on our system. You better treat them fairly. They're your people. You'll be seeing them soon. You can put them to work. The nerve of illegals and the countries that send them here, because clearly they know about it. They're sympathetic to it. Take them back. The nerve for him to say, "You guys better treat them well. We have investors in your country." Okay, so we're supposed to allow this?
migrants are stealing jobs from Americans, but the raid highlights a potential clash between two Trump priorities: boosting US manufacturing and cracking down on immigration.
So by her logic, Trump wanted illegal manufacturing. I could have sworn he said bringing these jobs back to America for Americans, not for South Koreans to come here in hordes to work at a battery factory. Who does that help? 500 jobs in whatever city this is. You don't think anybody can do that job or would want to do that job? It seems really, really weird. Yeah, of course. They'd be under Kim Jong-un right now. They would have been under Kim Jong-il before him. And now all of a sudden, no, we're going to flex. Okay. Good luck with that.
The president, though, was unfazed that the raid would jeopardize a recent pledge from South Korean companies to invest billions of dollars in U.S. industry.
Well, we want to get along with other countries, and we want to have a great, stable workforce. And we had, as I understand it, a lot of illegal aliens, some not the best of people, but we had a lot of illegal aliens working there. So, you know, look, they're doing their job.
On the same day, workers were being marched out of a plant in New York too. ICE officials took away 70 employees from the family-run facility. The owner claimed all his workers were legally employed. From farms to construction.
How are they legally employed if they're illegal aliens? Hold on, let me hear that again. She said either 17 or 70.
Working there, so, you know, look, they're doing their job.
On the same day, workers were being marched out of a plant in New York too. ICE officials took away 70 employees from the family-run facility. The owner claimed all his workers were legally employed.
What's up, Early? What's up, Not Worth It? How are you legally employed illegal? It's so stupid. This doesn't make any sense. He said 17.
From farms to construction, kitchens to garages, workplace raids are sweeping America. But this one in Georgia is the largest of its kind, and entire cities are bracing for mass raids too. In Chicago, parents dropped off their kids for school on Friday, while teachers handed them flyers. Not for a bake sale, but for their legal rights if ICE came calling. There's a major crackdown expected in the city on undocumented migrants. Residents say they're preparing for an invasion, not from enemies, but from their own government.
So, in her mind, the invasion is coming from the government while they pass out flyers to illegal alien parents who are getting free school in this country. Watch your back. This is so stupid. This is so stupid. Uncle Al, thank you, sir. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. These it goes beyond nerve. It's so insulting. It's so insulting to American citizens. it's mind blowing that nobody else is usually is as insulted as I am. Because it's wild. To me, this is wild. There's no shame, and they actually are emboldened. Even when they get arrested, you have a guy trying to sue the country for deporting him back to where he came from. It's so stupid. It's fascinating and stupid and frustrating at the same time, because there's no repercussions apparently, or they don't think there should be. But then when there is, this doesn't make any sense to me.
The Department of Homeland Security is touting new data showing that the nation's illegal immigrant population has plummeted by 1.6 million people since January. The statistics from the Center for Immigration Studies indicate that self-deportations are driving the trend. The federal government has provided financial incentives for illegal immigrants to leave and has run advertisements telling them they can only apply to return if they leave voluntarily. In less than 200 days, 1.6 million illegal immigrants have left the United States population, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem said in a statement on Thursday. This is massive. This means safer streets, taxpayer savings, pressure off of schools and hospital services, and better job opportunities for Americans. Thank you, President Trump, DHS wrote in a social media post. The agency says over 1 million people have opted for self-deportation through the CBP Home app. DHS began offering $1,000 in free travel out of the United States to those seeking to leave the country on their own and who do not have a criminal background outside of their immigration status. President Trump is touting the immigration crackdown as the administration says the efforts to remove illegal immigrants from the country will lead to less of a strain on public resources.
There has to be.
I think that's a really good way to vet who's good versus who's bad, because you got to get screened. You leave, and then we let you come back in. I don't have any issue with that. Because they're saying leave, and then you have an opportunity to come back. The ones who aren't going to do that are the ones who have some kind of criminal record, like the people that I showed earlier. I have no issue with this. I actually like this. It's a good idea. I don't even mind if they speed up the process for them because they already are here and they're productive. I have no issue with this. I have an issue with 20 or the 21 million people being here, and we don't know who any of them are. And then we have hippies on the left saying, "Oh no, bro, this is beautiful, man. They're workers, man. They're gonna clean your toilets." I don't care about any of that. I don't want to hear about any of that. And I brought this up in the last live. At least where I'm from, in Chicago, when I was growing up, all the construction workers were either white or black. We didn't have this huge. Now, I'm not saying there was no Mexicans, but I'm saying in that industry, all the construction workers were white and black. I didn't see what we see now. Now everyone is Hispanic. We built my home. I built this house in 2020. It was done in 2021. Not a single black person on site. One white person. Everyone else is Hispanic. It wasn't like that. How you doing, Amber C? It just wasn't. So I don't want to hear, Americans won't do these jobs. Yes, we will. We did them. The same thing with landscaping. I saw the same thing. It was mostly Asian. That's just what it was. At least where I'm from, it could be different everywhere else. LA's probably had a higher Hispanic population of those jobs, but where I'm from, it was all black people and all white people. Mostly black people were doing construction, and now you don't see it anywhere. Same thing with trades. It was all black people. That's what we did. But now you're not going to tell me that black people won't do these jobs. They don't want to pay for us to do the job. That's the real issue. And that's just what it is.
Be consequences for breaking our laws. And there has to be consequences, and there has to be enforcement and prosecution. We are going to use every single tool that we have, and I'll run through a couple of those tools that I think are going to change the way that we operate in this country, and that it'll be ways that industry can partner with us. We're using new technologies in ways that we never have before. We're going to deploy new technologies not only at the border, but at our ports of entry and in our interior to make sure that we're sharing information with other agencies at all levels, and we're also going to be sharing more information, biometrics, DNA testing, and being much more efficient, working to get everybody more authorities that they need to be able to take action in every single interdiction that we have. That all of our agents can go in there and deal with what they face, whether it may be drugs or trafficking or breaking of laws that would be impacting a community in different ways that they just weren't empowered to do before. And we'll be deploying and partnering with industry to be more efficient and accountable to make sure that we're making the best use of our time. The CBP One app is one app that was deployed during the last presidential administration that we have completely changed. It was interesting, I did ask the federal government if we took the CBP One app and shut it down on day one, which we did do, how long would it take us to develop an app that would deport people and allow people to self-deport? And the federal government told me, boy, that's probably going to take us 4 to 6 months. So I went to Elon and his guys, and they said, we can do that in 24 hours. And in 24 hours, we had the CBP Home app up that allows individuals to go in there and send them messages from the federal government that says, if you are here illegally now, go home. And soon it will be that you can get on that app, and it'll be not only should you go home right now, but you also, we will help you buy your plane ticket and your travel documents so that you can go today. We are, for the first time since World War II, enforcing the Alien Registration Act. The Alien Registration Act says that if you're in this country for longer than 30 days illegally, you must register with the federal government. And when those 30 days are up, and if you haven't done that, now we can criminally charge you. And we can go in and take you out of your home and deport you out of this country. And every day that you overstay, you are subject to up to $1,000 fine, and that you will be in violation of that. And when we deport you, you may never be allowed back into the United States again. But if you self-deport, and if you leave now and you use that app and you work with us to take you home, you may get the chance to come back and avoid those fines.
I really, I like that idea. I really do. Because like I said, they're screening themselves. Just leave. Just leave and you can come back. Unless you're a criminal. And we're going to find out just how many of them are criminals now. Because I think it's I don't want to miscite the number, but we've deported a lot of people. A lot of people. And a lot of them are criminals because that's all they're going after right now. The only time they're just grabbing some, mother who hasn't done anything, who's been here for 10 years, is if she's with those people who are being grabbed. Because right now they're only going after criminals. This is a good opportunity for those people to leave and come back legally. And like I said, I don't even mind if they put them in front of the line. I don't, it's not ideal, but they're already here. They won't lose anything. To me, that's a phenomenal idea. And this efficiency thing. So why I'm doing this before I go over the Chicago deployment of the National Guard is, and I don't know why nobody's talking about this. This is, to me, this is very clearly an easier way for ICE to operate in these cities. So what he's doing is he's bringing in the literal military so that when ICE comes in, he doesn't have to worry about all the riots and stuff or protests that they were doing, and they were attacking federal agents and agencies. He's already got the National Guard there. I'm not going to say this has nothing to do with the violence in our neighborhoods, especially in Chicago. But this is a very efficient way to kill two birds with one stone. It brings in way more than enough reinforcements, and then ICE can come in and do their job without having to worry about wearing masks. Maybe they'll stop wearing masks. At least in the cities where the National Guard is. This is efficiency at its best. To me, this is a no-brainer. I haven't heard anybody else talk about that. It makes perfect sense, and it's saving a lot of money, and that's all that's all this guy cares about, is saving money.
Millions of dollars of drugs are pouring into our country from Venezuela.
Oh boy.
Trump demonstrated his new approach in his drugs war on Tuesday. This strike killed 11 people and sank a boat the president said was transporting illegal narcotics. On Thursday, the Pentagon accused Venezuela of a highly provocative move after 2 Venezuelan fighter jets flew near a U.S. Navy warship. Trump's administration has also sought to tie Maduro's government to narco-trafficking, allegations which are denied. Specifically, Trump has accused Maduro of running the Tren de Aragua gang, which the U.S. declared a terrorist organization in February. Maduro has denied any connection to Tren de Aragua.
I think Trump is the only person that can make me feel bad for a dictator like Maduro. He can't do anything. You have this crazy guy in America accusing you of running a gang that you kicked out of your country. And you can't do anything about it. What can he do? He can't do anything about it. Trump called the leader of another country the leader of a gang. That's hilarious. He doesn't care. He doesn't. That's why he's the only one who can do the stuff that he's doing right now that needs to be done. The problem is, well, it's not even a problem for us. The problem is he's scaring the hell out of a lot of people. And I went over what he did with Bolton, not last night, but the live before. He brought in John Bolton just to scare other foreign leaders because everyone's scared of John Bolton. He didn't even allow the guy to talk. He just brought him in so people saw him and were like, oh no, John Bolton's here. And he said that people just give us anything we want because they were scared he was going to start bombing.
His government says the group was rendered inactive in Venezuela by a prison raid in 2023. On Friday, Maduro said Venezuela has always been willing to talk. He added that he respects Trump, but that he also demands respect for our country, for our people.
And the president...
Then don't allow your people to come here and sell drugs. It's pretty simple. Or we'll blow them up. That's what Trump is saying. We've never had anything like this that I could think of in this country's history, where a president says, if you don't do what I say, I'm just going to come to your country and start executing the people who are carrying out these kinds of attacks. And he did that by declaring all of the drug cartels and Tren de Aragua and MS-13 as terrorist organizations. So we have the legal right to go into these countries and take them out because they're terrorists. And now these countries are getting mad. Mexico's furious. And now Venezuela's mad too.
Posted this video on Truth Social this afternoon saying 11 members of the group were sailing toward the United States carrying illegal drugs, and attached to the video he wrote, quote, "Please let this serve as notice to anyone even thinking about bringing drugs into the United States of America. Beware. Thank you for your attention to this matter." Multiple exclamation points. Now, as
this just happened a few days ago, like it's not more than 3 days ago. He just blew him up and said, thank you for your attention to this matter, as he's threatening the world. Don't allow your people to come here. All he's doing is saying is handle your borders. Why are you letting these people come to my country and sell drugs and human traffic and all this stuff? You deal with it or we're going to deal with it. It's insane, but it makes perfect sense, and it's going to work. I can guarantee you these countries are going to do what they're supposed to do. He did this in the last administration, almost the same thing. And he scared the hell out of the Mexican president. I forget which one it was. I think it wasn't Fox. I don't remember who the president of Mexico was at the time, but they were saying he's not going to close the borders. And then he threatened them like he always does. And he just started sending them all back over right on the Mexico-U.S. border. And they had to Mexico started taking them and sending them back to their country. That's all we had to do. The whole time, that's all we had to do. What are they going to do? You have to keep them even though we let them in your country? Nope.
you said, President Trump this summer ordered a large Navy and Marine deployment to the area. You see some of the ships there. A Navy official says it includes destroyers, cruisers, as well as smaller ships capable of launching Marines onto shore. And in total, it's thousands of service members, including submarines. The administration describes it as a drug mission and uses the language of war, as Secretary of State Marco Rubio did today.
And before we even get to that, that's why he changed the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Because in his eyes, why are we on the defense? We're America. We should never be on the defense. We should be worried about defense. because it's the Department of War now. Hegseth, I think he's the new head of the Department of War.
Destroyed a drug boat that left Venezuela, operated by a designated narco-terrorist organization, which is what these are. And he's been clear that the days of acting with impunity and having an engine shot down or a couple drugs grabbed off a boat, those days are over. Now we are going to wage combat against drug cartels that are flooding American streets and killing Americans.
Killing cartel members who poison our fellow citizens is the highest and best use of our military, to which a dictator, Brian Krasenstein, responded, killing the citizens of another nation who are civilians without any due process is called a war crime. And then J.D. Vance responded, quote, I don't give a shit what you call it. Scott Jennings. Thoughts?
Well, I'll give you my political view of how I think most Americans are going to view it, most Republicans.
And before he goes on, I don't know why liberals do this. I don't know why they compare gang or whatever that was coming here with a boat full of drugs. We watched them the whole way. There's several views of what happened. So we knew what they were doing. And I don't know if that was what kind of strike that was, but they're gone. Liberals will tell you that that's the same thing as killing civilians, but they're not on their land. They're coming here. Why are they coming here? They have no business here. They're not coming here legally. They're not going through a port of entry. Clearly, they're in a boat full of drugs. And they do the same thing with illegal immigration. They call it migration. They're migrants. No, they're not. They're illegal aliens. That's what they're called. And they conflate those two so that when people who may be an actual immigrant, they hear, they get scared. And it's all a game to these people. And it's a weird game because I don't know how, actually, it's a good game from a persuasive standpoint to trick people into think they're under attack. So I guess that's why they do it. I just don't understand how it works. Because if I'm an immigrant from wherever, Nigeria, and all my stuff is legit, you can't compare me to somebody who snuck in through Mexico. It wouldn't, I don't know, whatever. It's weird.
Certainly, and that is that societal decline is a choice. And when you let people come into the country by the millions, when you let drugs flow over the border and you just say, well, let's just get them here and then see how the bureaucracy sorts it out, most people want a more aggressive response. Societal decline is a choice, and they see this illegal immigration problem and this drug flow problem as part of overall societal decline, and they are hoping and looking for and happy with Trump and Vance taking a muscular response to this. These are transnational terrorist organizations. We have to stop thinking of these people like they are just jaywalkers. They're not. They're terrorists. If Middle Eastern terrorists were on a boat trying to come into the United States with materials that would kill hundreds of thousands or millions of people, we would bomb them into the Stone Age or to the bottom of the ocean, which is what we did with this boat. We have to think of them that way. They are terrorists. They're coming to terrorize our communities, kill our children, and create societal decline in the United States. That is what we have to reframe our thinking on them.
Well, let me ask you this. There was a time during the Biden administration's chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan where people thought they had intelligence on an Afghan van or truck, and the Americans struck it, and it turned out it was just an innocent family. I mean, that is the difference between summary execution by the military and extraditing and arresting. So while there's no reason that I know of as of now to think this was anything other than what the Trump administration says it was, it is always possible that the best men and women on the job might make a mistake, and you can't take it back when it's an execution.
It is possible. But at the same time, if you have faith in the military and faith in our intelligence services and faith in the people running them, and I do, then you have to trust that when they say, look, here comes a boatload of drug dealers who are coming to terrorize our communities. I mean, at some point, this is why we elect governments, and this is why those governments have military and intelligence structures to perform these kinds of operations. And I think the American people have been crying out for some kind of more muscular response, and they're willing to take the risk if it saves lives.
So I will say this. I'm not a fan of just blowing people up in other countries. But I think what they need to do is document it, because in this case they documented it. They saw everything that these guys did. Saw them get in the boat. Saw them load up the boat and head this way. I'm good with that. The other one that he was talking about in Afghanistan, that was not good because they didn't document it. So how do you launch a strike on a bus and not know for sure that it's what you think it is? So we do need to document everything, just like they do here. We have body cams here on police for a reason. And you're going to have bad police, but you have to be able to hold them accountable. You can't do that if you're just blowing stuff up in another country and you didn't document it with some kind of video proof, or well, that's the only real way to do it, is to track it. Say, okay, O Speaks just left the building. He's got all these weapons. He loaded them into this bus. He's loading these other people came from this other place. They have weapons. They loaded into this bus. You're covered. But hey, I think that bus is doing something fishy. You blow it up. That's not good. We can't. This country can't do that. That's not acceptable. So when he said, we need to have faith, no, we don't. We need to just be sure and document it. That's all I really have for today. I appreciate everybody for stopping in. Not worth it. Wabbit2 says, thank you, sir. Amber C, thank you. Roy Lee, Uncle L, as always. Mel Dub, thank you, sir, as always. Phoenix Rising and Miss Just J, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Sheriff, thank you so much. Mike Levin, appreciate you. Trupac was in here. Thank you so much for stopping by. Like, share, subscribe. Now I'll be able to go and talk about the Chicago situation and what's going to happen there and switches and all of the nonsense. KMC, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Not worth it. Thank you. So yeah, like, subscribe, share. Send it to somebody who would disagree or agree. I don't care. I would like to talk to people who disagree and just pick their brain, see why they think what they think, and then they can hear why I think what I think, and maybe we can have an actual conversation. I don't want to debate the stuff. But this stuff is good. This stuff is good. Yeah, Rakim. Yeah, that was good. That was good. It was like he kind of did some. Most of it was the same as the last drop, but they made some changes or some adjustments. I liked all of the adjustments, though. Sorry. Anyway, with that said, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much again. And that's all I got for you.